This is a very special episode and I'm really, really proud of being able to talk about this. I've been in business for 12 years. Ta-da! Celebrate with me. The day that this podcast comes out, the 30th of November, was technically my last day of employment. I'd left my job in, September or something. In all honesty, I just walked out after being there for quite a few years. It had got to that point. And then 1st of December, that was my last day of being paid. We'd reached our negotiation. And then 1st of December, which if you're listening on day of release is tomorrow, was my first day of being registered as self-employed. And oh my goodness, it's nuts. I'm really proud, I have to say, of just still being here, of still existing in the business world, and of, kind of going from strength to strength, really. I wanted to share with you today what I've learnt from my 12 years in business, because, oh my God, it's a lot. When I first started the business, I knew nothing, really, in all honesty, nothing. I knew how to run training courses. I'd run lots of those. And I was a qualified tutor. I knew how to do marketing because I'd done that in kind of all my jobs, really, I suppose. I knew how to stand up and talk in front of groups of people because I'd always done that. I knew how to be in business, talk to business owners at all different levels. Always done that in my jobs. I'd had a brief foray into self-employment, probably, maybe 5 or 6 years before, can't remember, 6 or 7 years before I then took the plunge. I bought a franchise. I owned a franchise only for a year, but it was a kind of my first experience of working for myself, and for a number of reasons it didn't work out. And this is why I like to work with franchise owners now, because I had not a great experience of it, and certainly know what to look out for and what to be kind of mindful of as well. So that's an aside. But so I didn't know anything about being self-employed, right? I didn't know anything. And I started my business because I was just really unhappy in my job, really unhappy. Oh my God, and I weighed like 7 stone 13. I was tiny. I was so stressed. I look back now, obviously in some kind of horrible burnout. And yeah, it wasn't really a good time. So I'd had a bit of time off while I was going through the negotiations with my previous employer, and had during that time decided I wanted to work for myself. And so I did. And honestly, that was it. Right? That was my plan. I had these skills and this experience. I had a lot of skills, and I'm a very resourceful person and not kind of afraid to give things a go. I'm quite happy to try to have a go, to make things work, to put the effort in. But that doesn't mean I knew what I was doing. I knew the principles that you need to register for something with HMRC here in the UK. You need to pay some tax, you need to go out and get customers, you need to invoice the customers, and then you need to deliver on what you've invoiced them for. That, of course, I understood. And I understood that I would need to market myself, and I would need to get out there and make connections and all of that. But that's just, you can Google that stuff, right? How it actually works is really different. Being in business is huge amounts of fun, but also, oh my God, talk about multifaceted, talk about needing lots of skills, and all of those you can learn, but it's kind of a lot, it's a lot to take on, because you think it's just, oh, do you know what, I'm really good at, running dance classes for children in this company, I'm going to do it for myself. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant principle. That's kind of what I did. I did a management job, leadership within the public sector. So I had kind of a lot of management things. But, the bits that I liked were writing the workshops, doing delivery, doing the marketing, talking to businesses. It's like, yeah, I'll do all that for myself. What I didn't know, I don't think, was I was also going to be my own personal assistant, my own videographer, my own photographer, my my own content creator, writing everything, accountant, oh blimey, all the things, all the hats. And I learned pretty fast. I did learn pretty fast, and I realise now that it's a huge skill, that I can skim read something or hear someone say a half sentence, and that's kind of all I need for it to make sense for me, and for me to be able to then translate it for other people. So I didn't know that this was an ability that I had. I didn't recognise it. It was an ability. And now I do, and I'm very grateful for it, because it meant that I was able to fast track super fast. And that's why I'm able to help people now, because I find it kind of simple. It's the way that my brain works that I can understand things like that really quickly. So amazing, embrace that. But before I kind of go into too much stuff about the business side, let me just tell you how my life has changed in the last 12 years. So when I left my job, like I say, I was 7 stone 13. Now I'm not. I still haven't lost my lockdown weight. Damn you, 2020. I'm also 12 years older. I'm a little bit grayer, and I have a different husband. I was married to someone else when I gave up my job and started my business. And I'm forever grateful. Not forever grateful, but I'm very aware of the kind of privilege of that, of being able to just know that we'd be all right for 2 or 3 months without me earning, because there were 2 of us. We'd had hardly any mortgage. Oh my God, I remember those days. Never get divorced, people. It's very expensive. And so I was in a good situation back then, and that allowed me to be able to do it. But saying that, what I've been through in the 12 years is I got divorced. I bought my ex out. I've moved house 3 times. Hold on, 1, 2, 3 times in that 12 years. I was on my own for 3 years, which was really tough. I found that very tough, being on my own and trying to continue to run the business and keep the enthusiasm and engagement and energy and all of that going while I was going through the divorce. Even though, amicable, my decision ultimately, fine, it wasn't that. It was just, life is so different. After 15 years of being with someone, to then not be with them is very, very difficult. And particularly when you have to make all the decisions at home and all the decisions in the business. It's a lot to take on, really. It's a lot to think about. So those 3 years between husbands, as I like to call it, were tough, were really tough. And my business did suffer during that time. And the business had been extremely successful from day one. I mean, I talk about the first month I was in business, and I made £127. But I started in December. That was in the 2 weeks before Christmas, right? So, but it very quickly became a 6-figure turnover business. And I was really proud of that I didn't find it particularly difficult to get clients. But I was working 14 hours a day. I worked a lot, and it was very exciting, it was all very exciting, but to try and maintain that, then how long was it? 2 years, 2 years later, to try and maintain that when I was on my own was really, really difficult, and my health suffered and my business suffered, and the turnover stayed high, but the profitability went way down, because I think I was spending to try and, doing nice things in the business to try and compensate for the fact that my personal life wasn't great and maybe my mental health wasn't great. And so that culminated actually in me taking a real step back from the business, getting rid of the staff that I had, making them redundant, which is a horrible decision to make when they're your friends, when it's your business, giving up my office that I had and going back home. And ultimately, I actually sold my house and downsized. It was probably 2.5 years after I'd split up with my ex, and it was just so expensive, and the pressure, because of how much I had to give him, we'd been in the house a long time, right? And the pressure of that was very, very challenging. So I ended up selling my house and downsizing enormously. Almost immediately got together with my now husband, and so who had a daughter who was, I don't know how old she was then, 10, who stayed every other weekend, and I was working from home and he worked from home a lot. So, you know, the 2-bed terrace I'd downsized to was not big enough. So we moved again. Then there was lockdown, all of this stuff. So it's been, I think from easy beginnings and successful beginnings, it's not been an easy ride for me. And that's my personal life. And the reason that I share that with you is just to kind of let you know that it's not always moonlight and roses. You know, what you see on social media and what's shared, what people share, doesn't actually necessarily give the full picture of what's going on behind the scenes. And yeah, for me, I had some really awful years, some terrible years. But thankfully, that's all quite a long time ago. Now I've been with my husband for nearly 7 years. We've been married for nearly 4, and everything's super duper and amazing. So what's changed kind of in the world of business? You know, a lot's changed in my world, but what's changed in the world of business? And oh, crikey. I mean, when I first started, I first started running social media workshops back in 2009, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn back then. And Instagram didn't even exist. You know, TikTok was not even an idea in somebody's brain back then. And it was really easy. You know, it was kind of easy to get clients, right? You posted something on Facebook, you had clients by the weekend, and it was just less crowded, less noisy, much easier to get known, and easier to get known if you were on the networking circuit too, because I don't know, it just wasn't all as noisy as it is now. And so over the years, I've noticed big changes in technology, big advancements in technology, but actually the biggest thing that I've noticed is the kind of embracing of technology. So, you know, Zoom's dead standard now, but back in the day when I was working with my clients abroad who, doing coaching to clients who live, one in Australia, one in Dubai, very early on, and we did it all by Skype or GoToMeeting, so the technology has changed. And that, you know, I look back and I think, well, that was kind of quite radical back then, actually, doing all that. I didn't think much of it, but yeah, it's certainly, the world of business was different to how it is now. And it is this noise is different, you know, there's a lot of pressure now. And I think a lot of it does come from social media. I mean, the fact that social media exists in so many guises, that's changed, that's got noisier. And the pressure to be a 6-figure business owner, be a 7-figure business owner, to hustle, to blah, 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 that didn't really exist. That just didn't exist before. But the fundamentals are the same. You know, you pick one thing, you keep talking about it over and over again. You get your fundamentals, your foundations of your business sorted, like your knowing your numbers, knowing who your ideal audience is, know what you want from your business, all the stuff that I help my clients with and have always helped my clients with, that's all the same. It's the noise that you have to kind of tune out now that is different over the years. It's funny, I was just looking, before I started to record this, I was looking back at my blogs that I'd written over the years, because I knew that I'd written one after 4 years in business, and I'll put a link in the show notes. It's not the world's greatest blog, but it's quite funny because, oh, bless me, you know, I was so naive even back then. But it's some of the things that I said, I'm just like, I would still say exactly those same things today. So, you know, I'd built it up to, I'd worked a lot, worked 14 hours a day, built it up to 6 figures, had the staff, had the office, changed my mind, decided I didn't want it, got rid of the staff, just had one person left helping me, went home, all of this stuff that I've already said. And what I really liked doing was working one-to-one with business owners who really want to make a difference. Still would say that today. And then teach people how to stop wasting time and money. Still do that today. You need to be happy. The blog ends after 4 years. And that's how many years? It's 8 years later, exactly the same message. So it's quite interesting. It's an interesting personal reflection then, that the core fundamentals and the things that I like doing in the business are exactly the same. And I've tried, adding lots of bells and whistles and doing lots of different types of things in the business, different delivery vehicles, I suppose, of the way I help people over the years. But those core fundamentals haven't changed. I like working one-to-one with people, always have done. I like teaching people and supporting people, coaching people to be better business owners, to stop wasting time, to be more efficient, to make more money. All of these things are things that I love. So it's nice to be able to reflect on the fact that I'm still true to my core beliefs. And those core beliefs were genuine core beliefs, because I do still live by them today, all these years later, even though I would say I'm kind of a different person, really. I've changed, I've certainly changed over the years, and the way I live my life is way more chilled now, way more chilled. So what else have I learned? There's lots of things. Understanding of how businesses operate. I've worked with, oh crikey, pretty much every sector in some shape or form over the years, from absolutely one person bands, very tiny businesses. And I have worked with corporates. Over the years. It's not a market that it's not my preferred market, but I've definitely worked with, with corporates, with the whole spectrum. So understand the challenges across the board, and with all sorts of different types of sectors. There isn't any one sector that kind of comes to mind as being the one that I focus on. I've worked with quite a lot of estate agents over the years. I've worked with quite a lot of franchise organisations, franchisees, franchisors over the years, and I've worked with quite a lot of coaches. They're kind of the main ones that pop out, but there's all sorts of weird and wonderful people, businesses that I've worked with, and I love that. I really like the breadth of experience that I've been able to get. So when we talk about niching, I don't niche to a particular sector. I don't. I niche to a size of business and to what the achievement, what the goals are. And that is absolutely, I focus on these core fundamentals of working less, earning more, particularly the business foundations. So you can't grow a business unless you know what your numbers are. Yeah. And I know I talk about that a lot, but that's, so when you niche, it can be niche kind of about the way what you help people with. I've also had to adapt to an awful lot of things, divorce, then having a child in the house, which is not something that I ever had to do, or it was only alternate weekends, but I was sharing my office with a bunk bed for a while until we moved to quite a really big house, so there's room for everybody. And also, the pandemic, right? We all had to adapt to that. And even me, who already worked at home and already did probably 90% of my work online by that point, it changed the scope of business, and it added to this noise because everybody went online. So it's much harder to stand out, and you needed to kind of think differently. Yeah. But I think simplification is what wins there. Just focus on what you're doing and put your blinkers on and don't worry about anybody else. That's the best way to do it. Another thing that I've learned is that my ability to problem solve is an enormous asset. I'm very quick thinking. I have 101 solutions to almost every scenario in my head somewhere. This is one of the benefits of being neurodiverse, right? Neurodivergent, it just allows you to be a problem solver and be a quick thinker and to not kind of get phased. Give me a crisis and I thrive. So that coupled with the experience and the skills I've gained across the different sectors really, I know, makes me kind of unique in the coaching world. I'm not a trained coach, so I don't teach by any kind of formula like some other coaches do. I certainly never bought a coaching franchise. I just came from the school of hard knocks and delivered what makes a difference. So that sets me apart from some other coaches. And I think that this gives me a huge amount of empathy as well with people, because I can pretty much guarantee that whatever you're feeling right now, whatever problems you've got, yeah, been there, done that. And so I'm able to give practical solutions on how to get out of what you're in, how to change what you're in, how to refocus what you're in, because I've either been through it myself or I have had clients who've been through it. So I've got lots and lots of empathy and lots of experience, practical experience as well. The experience, you can't really kind of put a figure on that or put a price on that, really. It's to have worked with towards 6,500 business owners. Every single person I've ever worked with has said at least one sentence that's been stored in my brain for use for future, and be that a problem that I can solve, or they said it like that, so perhaps we can put that with that and that with that, and it makes something magical. So my brain is my EFT coach, she said that my brain is like the mind palace in Sherlock Holmes. Where I mean, where he's looking at, he's moving things around and accessing resources, and that's what my brain is like. And I know that is just, it's just really something special, and I should be more proud of it and more kind of vocal about it, I think, because other people just aren't like that. So other coaches just can't kind of access that resource like that because they're not wired like that, and it just is the way it is. But I'm very, very grateful for it. Something else that's really helped me over the years is networking, building networks. I know lots and lots of people who can do lots and lots of useful things. So if anybody's looking for somebody to provide them with a service, then chances are I'll know someone or know someone who knows someone. And that's really useful, and it gives me a really good supportive network, which has been one of the most important things, I think, in business, is having this community, having this network, having this space full of other like-minded business owners where we can support each other and draw on each other's skills and experience. Been absolutely worth doing. I've networked for 20 years, so I've built up this kind of mental Rolodex of hundreds and hundreds of useful and interesting and fun people, And I've also always invested in myself. So I've always been to conferences, particularly in the States. First one was early 2013, so I'd only been in business just over a year. And met lots of people there and learned lots of things. And I've just recently joined a new mastermind because I need to keep investing in myself, and I need to make sure I keep myself on track, because we can all go off on tangents, right? So investing in yourself is such an important thing to do. And this is all part of building your strong client relationships, I think, all this experience. And what's interesting is that I have people coming wanting to work with me who I've known for years. So just today, at the time of recording, I've had someone who has signed up to work with me who I first met probably a decade ago. She came on a few funded workshops that I ran years and years and years ago. I ran them over 7 years, but it's years since I first met her. And now she's just come to work with me. So this client relationship, this experience, this longevity, it really pays off. It really does pay off. You've just got to kind of stay in it for the long game. Yeah, because this stuff works over time if you're there and you're consistent with things. And the best thing for me, I think, and the thing that I am really so proud of, is that I'm kind of still here and I'm still helping people. And every day I'm getting better and better and better at what I do. And even launching this podcast coming up for a year ago is just another kind of string to my bow. And it just shows how much I've grown over the years as a business owner. And it might be a slow ass journey, right? You might have been in business for 2 years and think, well, I've already done all of those things. But I don't know, for me, it's like, I've taken my time, I've got better and better and better. And everything I've learned, I've implemented with clients, and I've kind of proven that I can do what I think I do. And that's really nice for me. It gives this solid foundation. And I have zero question over whether I can help you and support you in your business, because I know for a fact I can, because of everything that I've said. So you can take advantage of this, right? I'm here. I mean, obviously you can listen to my podcast, which you do. Yay, thank you. I love that you're here. But I wrote a book called Life in Business, Easy Ways to Work Less, Earn More and Embrace True Happiness. So you can buy that book on Amazon. There's a link in the show notes too. And that will kind of give you a guide on ways that you can make your business better. So there's that, you can tap into that, and that's born out of all these years of experience. Or you can book a strategy session with me. We can work together. We can work together for a whole 12 months if you want to, but you can start by booking a one-off short strategy session. God, one day I'll be able to say that word. Strategy session. Again, link in the show notes. It's a Zoom call where we will go through what you're stuck on, and I will give you solutions to that, and I'll give you a roadmap on how to move forward to the next step. And I can do these because I've been in business for 12 years, because I've worked with over nearly 6,500 people, because I've been through the school of hard knocks and through all the shit that life throws at you and the tough times in business. And I've seen the changes and I've seen the trends come and go. And I'm still here, and I use all of that learning and skill and experience to help you. And I hope that I'm still going to be doing this in another 12 years, and that I'm going to be, maybe I will have retired by then, but you understand what I'm saying, doing it in another 12 years and loving it as much as I do now. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart for being part of this journey. It really means a lot. And if you want to book a strategy session, the link is in the show notes, and the book is available on Amazon, called Life in Business. So lots of love. Thanks for being part of the journey, and I'll see you next week.